Hello everyone, it's Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Drydocks.com, and I am coming to you from the new home of the Drydocks. You'll notice a little bit of change of scenery. As you know, we moved from our previous facility into this one. This one is basically out of my house, and we converted an entire section of garage dedicated only to the Drydocks, and we've got a whole storage area for all of the other things that we've got going on. This is going to be much more cost effective for the Drydocks, a lot more convenient for me. It's a huge change and I am really excited about it. You can see we've got a ton of things going on here already. We basically finished moving last week, got straight into it. It's Monday, and I want to show you what we've got going on. So let's take a look at this. So we got some empty boxes here for some of the submarines that you saw over here. I've got a cylinder queued up to take a look. Customer fried a receiver and a speed controller, and he sent that back for us to take a look at. Got a new boat. This is Moebius Skipjack, and it's got the R&R watertight cylinder inside. This is going to be for sale. It's going to be sold completely ready to run, and we just need to go through it, install a new radio, test and trim, blah, 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 all of that stuff. What a beautiful job the builder did on this boat. It looks really nice. I'm excited to have scored this one. Behind it there, you can see Nacken, an OTW Nacken in 1/30th scale. That one is sold. This has been completely set up, and you can see we've got one of our 900 megahertz radios. This is one of the older Horus radios on 900 megahertz. This is a cool boat, man. It is huge. It's got an OTW dive module inside. I spent last Friday going and setting up all of the control surfaces. I'll be going into this one in detail in its own video, obviously, as I do all of my boats. But man, like, take a look at that prop. That is humongous. Logan is working out of here too. He is working on refurbishing this little 96 scale Kilo that he picked up at Subfest. So this is his own personal project. Needed a lot of TLC, but he got it for a steal. So we're going to see if we can get that thing going. And then we've got this German 209. I believe that was a kit from Giannis out of Greece there. I don't know about these forward dive planes. I'll go into detail in these here a little bit. Like that French Argonaut that I had before, you can see these like scoop out, one to go up and one to go down. The previous builder had them set up, but they never ever worked properly. So I don't know. I might play with them a little bit to see if I can get them going, but if not, I'm just going to deactivate them because this boat is going to work perfectly well only with stern planes and rudders. I think it's going to be really good. We're going to get to that one this week. I am queuing up my big snap maker here to print out Sharky version 2.0. So we've got that going on here as well. And then last but not least, some of you may recognize these bits and pieces. This is a 48th scale Disney Nautilus, and this is going to be kit that we're going to be putting together and offering in conjunction with the digital artists that put these files together. These are absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at all of the details of the rivets and the panel lines. We've been printing this out in ABS-like resin, so it's a little tougher than usual, but you can see there is absolutely no striation in this whatsoever. It is absolutely beautiful. So excited to get that one put together. We'll be putting one together, painting it up as a display model first of all, just sort of as proof of concept, and then potentially moving on to offering the kit in both display and RC options. So as you can see, we have not been slacking off. Today, Logan and I are going to be going back to the old shop, meeting up with Jason because he's taking a bunch of stuff from there to his new shop where he's going to be manufacturing watertight cylinders. And then we'll basically be all set up. I got 2 last cylinder orders to get out, some little Bantam cylinders for the old 77 scale Disney Nautilus. And then all of my obligations for watertight cylinders will be over with, and Jason will take on the manufacturing of those. So I will continue to document this. This will be my weekly update video, so let's get going. All right, let's talk about my skipjack here. So I took the cylinder apart. I'm going to need to swap this out for a Dean's connector because I'm going to put a big LiPo in there. But this is an R&R cylinder, and the cool thing about this is you can actually slip the entire outer tube off, and everything is all integrated into one tray. Now, the downfall to that is that you lose some ballast capacity because you need to have a ballast tank in a tank, so to speak. So if that's not a big deal like it is with this, then this is a really neat solution. Now, I'm waiting to install the radio, so I'm using a servo tester right now because I saw this really cool setup in the back here. The challenge is we've got this loop. Now, I've already bent this because it used to go way back. But what happens with that when it moves, you've got this flex in the 16th inch rod, and it's not very precise. So I shortened that up, but this is the situation we got going on right now. I got decent deflection down. It's not ideal, but almost no deflection upward. So there's my servo moving back and forth there. And there is the linkage moving. I need to increase the throw. And then obviously, the best way to do that is to increase the lever for the planes or move the attachment point for the servo lower. Now, fortunately, we've got 2 of these little connectors here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch these around so that the servo is pushing on the one that's closer to the swivel, and then the dive planes are in the one further out. We should get more throw. I'm going to see if my hunch is correct. All right, here is the situation we've got going on here now. I got to hold this in place so it doesn't push. It's a little better, so I can move these now, and we get better deflection in the back. Now, one thing that I didn't really consider, which is really not a big deal, I guess, by switching this around, it changed the length of the arm for the port side dive plane slightly. So the port side dive plane has slightly more deflection than the starboard. I don't think this is a big deal. You really can't see it. And because they're so close to each other in the back, they're not really going to impart any sort of a rolling motion with the boat. But the added deflection, I think, was worthwhile, so that you don't need to rebuild the entire rear linkage area. So that, I think, was good. Now, all we need to do at this point is go up to the front here, get our battery situation figured out. I got to go to storage, grab a new radio for it. And I think after that, we're going to be in good shape. All right, project 2 for this morning is this thing. So this is the existing linkages for the forward dive plane. So you can see down, up, down, up. But the problem is we've got one linkage here, and it's operating both. When it's in the middle, both planes are partially deployed. This was not a very well thought out system. Like, certainly it kind of works, but it really doesn't work at all. So this has all got to be re-engineered. It's sloppy too. Look how like loose that is. The holes are super huge in these linkage holes. But at any rate, I'm going to take all this apart and redo things with an idea that I have, and we'll see how well it works. So we're making some good progress here. I got the forward plane thing going on the 209, and I'm making progress there. And Logan soloed the diagnosis and repair of this cylinder. So we're going to see what he did and how it's working here right now. So, what was wrong with it when we got it?
Well, first thing I did upon getting it was we tested out the ESC.
And we didn't have a radio, right?
Yeah, so at the time, all I did was use our handy servo tester. I had some alligator clips, hooked them up to a power servo tester, connected them all on, hooked it up, and as soon as I flipped the switch, I heard a
Grinding, kind of.
grinding, clicking, unhealthy noise. So, took it all apart, got...
And we smelled some ozone, too, didn't we?
Oh yeah, that was fried thoroughly. But replaced the ESC, got some heat shrink on it so that there's no need to worry about anything touching.
I think maybe what ended up happening, is the old one still here? I think maybe what happened was these motor leads might have got shorted somehow. And so we made double sure that this doesn't happen again, and we put heat shrink on all of the... You can't really see them, it's in there. So there's no way that anything could end up touching it in there. And then the owner had also said something about the channels. It was like channel 3 and 4
Didn't work.
not working. So what did we have to do to get this going? We have the receiver in the cylinder, but we had no radio.
Yep. So upon getting it, it looks like the BEC was hooked up to this top port, which seemed to have had mixed results. If I pull this out, actually, that's in there.
Yes, maybe leave it. Yeah.
But it looks partially melted. It still looks partially melted.
Yeah, but that's the power port. It's like the auxiliary port, the S-bus port on the top of the receiver. You can connect like sensors and daisy chain receivers together and all of that stuff. But it can feed the receiver power through the top. But that was like melted right off, right?
Yep. And I think there was double fed power as well, since the UBEC was connected into the side still.
I don't know that it was, but at any rate, so we had to test all the channels, right? And so what did we do?
Well, actually, all we did was something pretty simple. We just hooked them all up to this horse we had sitting on the shop.
That took how long?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So that Horus now has 2 receivers, like connected to it, I guess you could say, registered to it. The one for Nacken here, and then the one for the cylinder. All right, so yeah, this should be working now, right? So let's show everyone, and then also the owner, just to make sure he knows when it left here it was working fine.
Yep. So power is hooked up.
So it's interesting. He has a LiPo-Guard, an old LiPo-Guard hooked up, but it's not connected. The failsafe's not connected to anything. So I think he's just using this as a battery gauge, which there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. Yeah, so let's run through. We'll have to remember what switch does what. Let's run through all of the functions.
Yeah, so for everyone's reference, we kind of just connected things for the sake of connecting them. We
Yeah,
have
so
no
it's
logical amount.
Random.
Yeah, so throttle...
Nice and smooth.
Throttle's throttle, we figured that much out.
We got our planes.
Yep.
And the other side.
And we've got...
Yeah, that's on something. That's the other one. That's like bow planes or something like that.
Yep. Was it this switch? One of these switches. It's this one.
There we go. Yeah, that's another one. There we go. So that would be like rudder or whatever, rear dive planes.
Yep. And then on this, we have...
Ballast system.
Which is actually a pretty good spot for it.
Yeah, that is a good spot for it. So that's going to get bundled up, shipped back to the customer, and at the end of the day, all it was a shorted ESC. No biggie whatsoever. And I can't replicate his issues with not having the channel, so I have to assume that if he still experiences it, it's just a matter of some settings in his transmitter. So there you go. Logan's going to box that up. We're going to ship that back today, and I'm going to get back onto the 209. Well, we got Jason moved. That was a lot of fun. It wasn't as bad as I thought. He rented a truck and got everything in one load. It only took us a couple hours to do. Got back, did a bunch of shipping, and now wrapping up these forward dive planes. I want to show you what I came up with. I basically had to rework absolutely everything. We got some stainless springs in there. And now, when one activates, the other does not. So this is kind of how it works. We got our up forward dive plane going, and then it goes back to neutral, and then our down dive plane. Up and down. So, I'm pretty happy with this. The new owner can probably do a few things to, tweak this up and make it a little bit better. I might suggest, putting a guide bushing or something right here to keep this shaft stable as it moves. Right now, it's kind of relying on the linkage coming out here from the servo. It certainly works. It's not a problem. And I'm not even certain how effective these are going to be, but they work now. I feel much better. And having said all that, I discovered there's one thing I missed here. I've got to add this adjustable linkage in the back for the stern planes. I did it for the rudder, haven't done it for the stern planes, but we're wrapping up for the day. Going to pack things in, and we will hit the ground running tomorrow. See you then. Happy Tuesday morning, everyone. We are in the shop here already. It's 7:45. We've been busy here already. Got a workout in, got some work done, picking the last of the starter kit packages that we sold before the big move. I just got to go grab a radio from storage, throw it in the box, and that one will be done. The other thing I worked on a little bit here this morning was getting the skipjack all set up. And really, it didn't need much. There was a lot of adjustments going on in the back here for the linkages. And just installing a new receiver. The radio that I picked up, I didn't notice the antenna's broken. That's a booger. But fortunately, I got one more or maybe two more back in storage. I'll grab that today and it'll be ready to go. But this is good enough for testing, so I can show you. I'll power this thing on. This is an R&R cylinder, by the way. Ron Perot out of the UK. Beautiful little units. Let's see here. Yep, we're on. Okay, just check this. You can see our rudder linkage and our dive planes going on. And our throttle's nice and smooth, and our ballast. Everything's working perfectly. It's about time. But you can see the way that this works. Basically, it's a water pump that pumps everything in here. And it leaves a little air pocket in here, and then there's a snorkel valve up in the tower that shuts when it's completely under. So when the pump reverses when you're under the water to pump water out, it can't draw any air or water in from the environment, and so it creates this vacuum pocket on the inside. Water level goes down, the air pocket increases, comes up to the surface, snorkel breaches, opens up, and then the air pressure equalizes. It's a pretty slick system. And I had stolen that for Argonaut, by the way. If you guys follow my channel, you'll have seen I messed around with that a little bit. One more cool thing I wanted to show you is this really neat sort of universal dog bone dealy going on right here. So you can see it, it kind of meshes, and it's got a little like slop or slack in there, but it makes making up and taking cylinder out really easy. Other thing that I did, I put this little brass collar over the magnetic connectors, so it's still very easy to put together, but it stops buckling at this connection, which is important because this line is not in line with the linkage horn there in the back. But just a beautiful boat. Gentleman did a great job putting it together, modeled as the USS Scorpion. So this boat, the 209 and Nacken, should be in the pool today, if everything goes well. I've got some running around to do. I've got to run to the airport and drop some stuff off for my plane, for the mechanic, because the plane's always perpetually got something going on with it. But hopefully we'll get to some trimming today and clear these boats off so I can get to the next project. So let's get to it. Okay, little work on Nacken. So a couple things going on here. Number one, if you take a look at these O-rings, I don't know if you can see it, if it's focusing on that. These are all cracked and nasty in here. And actually, I find that fairly common on OTW cylinders. If you've got one, check your seals. They're pretty easy to replace. I picked up some new ones just off of Amazon here. So I'm just going to pop these out, put the new ones on. And this is really not a big deal at all. Just kind of open it up, get a little bit of room in here. You can cut the old one out and then slip the new one on. It'll drop right in place. You don't even need to take everything apart. So let's take a look at this. This is bad, really bad. If you stretch this out, you can see these gigantic crevices. You can't see it. It's too close, I'm sure. This is very much ready for retirement. So into the trash. Here's some new ones that I got. They're slightly thicker than the old ones, but I think they're going to work really good. Just going to slip them on. But I want to show you kind of this unique setup. So you have to see 4 output shafts in the back of the boat. Now, it does not power the fairwater planes from here, and there is not one extra for bow shutters or whatever. All of these are for the rear 4 control surfaces. I'll show you what this looks like. All of these are moving at the same time with the radio. Now, I'm not entirely sure why the builder elected to do that. Typically, you would have one output for one pair of shafts, which would be linked together. Or if you didn't want to yoke it, you could simply put 2 horns, connect to the output shafts, and then put them in here. It feels like a little bit of extra work potentially, and getting them all perfectly aligned and everything is a little bit of extra work, but viable solution. Just wanted to show you the unique way that this builder took this on. Now, the other thing that I do have going on, I do have functional fairwater planes in the Nacken, and the way that I did that is installed a waterproof servo up here. And it connects via this waterproof connector up in the front of the boat and allows for the fairwater planes. So again, typically when you set up your RC submarine, you are going to have pitch and rudder at the back. So pitch and yaw at the back of the boat, controlled by the rear control surfaces. Depth can be achieved via the rear, but it'll pitch the boat in order to dive or surface. So it needs to have a significant change in pitch in order to change depth. Real submarines don't really work that way, and it kind of makes for a weird porpoising look for your RC submarine. That's where the fairwater or bow planes come in. They typically control the depth. So rear control surfaces are typically control your pitch, and you'll have an automatic pitch controller on there if you want to. Fairwater bow planes can be controlled manually to control your depth, which will mean you'll be submerging and surfacing on more of an even keel. You can also hook up those bow planes or fairwater planes to a depth keeper, which will automatically keep the boat at depth. So lots of cool things going on. I just want to let you know too, Kevin with KMC kind of suspended his DC unit, his depth control units there for a little bit, because he's been working on the new DC3 units, which are going to have a lot more functionality, make them super cool. So those will be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Just a little bit of a spoiler for you. 10 o'clock, and as you can see, we got wet boats behind us here. I didn't get footage of the actual trimming process, but I can give you the lowdown on how things worked. So the first boat that we had in the water was Skipjack, because it was the easiest to handle. Ran into issues. So this is how the boat came. Now, if you take a look back here, the cylinder is kind of in the middle of the boat, which is what a lot of people do. But the more the mass is actually up front. So what ends up happening with this boat is it submerges by the stern and ends up sitting like this in the water. Being that there's almost no freeboard in the back, like a quarter of an inch, there's not a lot of place for foam. So really, when you have your cylinder in the wrong location, you can fix it with creative use of foam and ballast, but it becomes a bit of a battle. So what I'm going to end up doing is shifting that center of buoyancy forward. I'm going to move everything ahead, maybe, I don't know, 2 inches, extend the drive shaft, extend the linkages, and we're going to see if that turns into something that will work better. I played with this for a while, put as much foam as I could in the back, and it was just a losing proposition, unfortunately. So we're gonna fix it up and get it going. Just a little bit more work. Just need to notch out this bulkhead here and pull everything forward. So not a biggie. 209, perfect. 1 piece of foam, that's it, and it'll be perfect. Floats really, really nice. I think this is going to be a really fun boat to operate. Nacken, likewise. I put a bunch of weight in the bottom because a lot of the ballast weights ended up getting knocked loose during shipment. Didn't know where to start, so I just threw it in the water. Threw a whole bunch of weight in here, and then some more foam too. So got a lot of static stability going on with what weight low, foam high. So that's what these pieces of foam are basically doing. And then one in the back, and that's it. Floated absolutely perfect. I cannot wait to get this thing in the water. Other thing that I noticed is the pitch controller is all messed up in this boat. So when it dives, the planes go into dive and just makes it a really compounded, nasty issue. So gonna have to reverse the pitch controller, but all in all, a very successful testing. We got 2 boats that'll probably be ready by the end of the day, and another one, well, maybe by the end of the day. I don't know, we'll see. And a little bit more progress going on here with the Skipjack. Let's take a look. I thought maybe I wouldn't get to this today, but I am. Everything has been moved. This was actually super easy to do. I just moved the bulkheads forward. This is a gap because we got the end cap got to go on there. So it gets sandwiched in there, gets held down, everything gets locked in. Extended the drive shaft, or actually replaced the drive shaft. I just happen to have 4mm stainless drive shaft, which was pretty cool, with the correct threads for the prop. That never happens. And then I just put some extensions in here along with some adjustability. And what I did for this is a 1/16 inch linkage rod here. You'll find, especially when you've got bends in them like that, they'll flex. If you just slip a piece of tube over top, it creates a reinforcement, makes it nice and stiff and rigid. And now that this is longer, I don't need to have this little collar on there. So awesome. I guess now all I need to do is probably tomorrow throw it back in the water, see how she sits now that I have moved everything around, and see if we can get this thing dialed in. Well, all the day is wrapping up. Got another hour or so left. So dug into this little baby. Was sent back from a customer that bought this at Subfest. This was Robert, and he absolutely loved this boat, but he said it stopped working. So went into diagnosis mode. Let's take a look and see what we dug up. So sure enough, when I went to try and power it up, nothing happened. The relay clicked, but nothing came on. Checked the power output from the electronic speed controller that has a built-in BEC and no voltage. Checked the receiver with a separate battery pack, and it was working fine. So I was like, oh man, I think maybe the the BEC and the ESC is dead. And then I took a look at this little baby right here, this little connection right here. And it was sitting apart a little bit, and I pried it open. It was stuck. It was jammed. And when I opened it up, it was the worst case of nasty corrosion that I've ever seen. Completely solid with rust. And so I pried it apart, ground it all down to bare metal, greased it up with some dielectric grease, tried it, and sure enough, everything works perfectly. So, couple things of note when I was thinking about this. If this is rusting, it means that there's water and or moisture getting into this. Now, when I took the cylinder apart, I noticed that our little knurled nuts had no O-rings in them. Now, I don't know if that was done intentionally or if Robert is forgetting to put them on. Obviously, if he's forgetting to put them on, this cylinder is going to get full of water pretty darn quick. Furthermore, this one was all cracked and split, I would guess, from over-tightening. So I'm in the process of repairing this, making this a perfectly smooth interface right here, and I grabbed a couple more seals for him. So we're going to include that. But one thing that I noticed is that not cool. Something came loose, so now we get to take that whole back thing apart and try and fix that. So it's one of those things where it's like you think it's going to be a simple thing, and then it's like another thing and another thing and another thing. So I keep plugging away at it. The joys never end. So I fixed this, no problem. We engineered this so wonderfully, perfectly. Got a little access in there. It was just loose. Just pushed it back in and tightened it down. Perfect. But now this servo is not working. When I went to go test it, this servo is not working. Turn the radio on. Yeah, low power. Nothing. These are supposed to be working together. What the heck? I gotta test this servo now and see if it's a servo or potentially the throttle jockey or I don't know. Lovely. Dead servo. Kinda works. A little bit. Thought about it. Oh, thought about it. Go. So all of this got to come apart. The motor bulkhead has to come apart. Got to take that apart. Got to pull that out, and then that's got to come out. Well, that wasn't bad. I was being a little baby. I was being a baby because I wanted this to be done so I could get out of the shop and work on other cool stuff. But that is the offending servo right there. I checked the linkages. They're not binding or anything. I'm just really curious. Let's just try it without it being... No, he's not happy. Not a happy camper. But what I'm curious about is I want to see if we can figure out why this thing stopped working. I'm just going to pop it open. I'm just curious. Being that there was a lot of water inside that cylinder, at least at one point. Oh. No. It looks fine. Stupid servo. This is the best top quality Chinese stuff that you can buy. I don't know what the problem is. Well, regardless, it's going to go in the trash. We'll source a new servo. Get Robert up and going again. So, servo's installed. Everything's working fine, and then this. Well, look at that. That looks kind of important. That's where the antenna comes out. Over there, loops back around, but without this little hose, attached to the nipple on the other side, the water just goes whoop right in there. So, yet another thing to do. All right, it is Wednesday? Wednesday morning, back in the shop first thing, bright and early. We brought the 3 boats back out as soon as it warms up a little bit. We're going to go back out and test. It's supposed to get up to 80 today, so that'll be nice. But there was a question on the forums talking about how to split plastic styrene hulls, about like Gato and Type 7 and Type 9 and all of this stuff if you want to split the hull for like a horizontal waterline. People had asked about the ultrasonic knife, and we're going to try it on this piece of styrene plastic, an extra chunk of skipjack hull. So we're going to get Logan to try it, and we'll zoom in here and see what it does. All right, there we go. Oh wow, look at that.
Just break it off at the ends. Actually, just leave it like that so you can just see.
Look at that. That is slick. Well, I think we found the way to do the hull split. So, there you go. I would say that would be a definite yes for ultrasonic knife slicing through styrene plastic like butter.
Actually, that's pretty well exactly the sensation as well when you are cutting.
Yeah.
Hot knifing butter.
Yeah, that is a nice sharp edge there. A little bit of sanding to remove the kerf, and you're good to go. So there you go. Mystery solved. So we're back outside. We installed the foam in the front. We switched around the automatic pitch controller. So that's all working properly here now. Need to do some minor adjustments with the alignment in the back. That's perfectly fine. Today we're just going to test how well it submerges and emerges now that we got all the foam in place. So let's drop it. It's actually sitting pretty high up in the nose there. I think we might need to move some of that foam above the surface waterline. But let's see what it does when we drop it down. Yeah, that's exactly what we need to do, is move some of that foam above the water line, because it's submerging nice and even now. I'm just checking here right now to make sure there's no leaks in the cylinder, because when you fill the ballast tank, it pressurizes the forward and rear compartments. I think we're in good shape. 2.9 into the water. Perfect. Utterly perfect. So that's full submerged trim, just a tiny bit of positive buoyancy. This cylinder has a gas backup in it for full static diving if you wanted to, but with just that little bit of buoyancy, this thing will pull down and stay at periscope depth all day. It'll be awesome. And I don't know if you can see it. We'll see those forward dive planes stick out. Oh, there they go. We'll have to see how they work when we get into some open water this weekend. But I am very pleased. 1 down, 1 to go, and 1 needs work. So, all good. Turn that off, turn this off, move on. All right, second go around with the skipjack. Now, if you remember correctly, yesterday we determined that the cylinder was situated too far back and the boat was being really, really difficult to trim. So we moved it ahead about 3 inches. We're gonna see if that makes a difference. So this preliminary trim is probably gonna be all kinds of messed up, but we need a baseline, so let's put it in and see what it does. Okay. So we need some weight up front and some foam in the back. Or, no, just foam in the back. Okay. Go get some foam. Okay, a little bit of foam inside. You can't really see it. I tucked it in the elastic band holding the cylinder down. So let's see what she does now. It's better. Needs more. So I think we got it dialed in. Now, I know I've got room in the back there because I've got open space where the linkages are, so I'm hoping we're gonna have lots of room to put that foam back there. Threw some weight on the front, and now you can see it's floating right at the water line. I'm gonna put an elastic band over these weights because inevitably they'll fall down to the bottom of the pool right when I don't want them to. So now that it's floating where we want it to float, I am going to dive the boat and see what it does. That's looking right to me. It is hovering, you can see it moving, it's not touching the bottom. Now the trick is, where's it going to float when we bring it back up to the surface again? And I do want to make a note here, I'm adding weight to the top. I can do that because the boat is really statically stable. Obviously when we permanently adhere these, weight goes in the bottom and the foam goes up top. Everybody knows that, right? Alright, let's bring it up and see what happens. So at the back it's about 1/4 of an inch above the scum line, and the front is maybe 1/2 an inch. But I don't think that's too bad, all things considered. All right, back to the shop, get everything glued down, get everything locked down, bring it back out for a final test, see if anything changed. Okay, it is darn near quitting time here on Wednesday. We got a lot done today. Logan's cleaning up some more parts for our 48-inch Nautilus. We're getting pretty close to having them all done. Should be able to start putting that thing together here pretty quick. It's pretty exciting. Here's that brush for scrubbing them. In this, we've got a Seaview static display 8-window from the movie. This is going to have LED lights. You can see we got some wires poking out here. Logan is working on the interior. I'll show that to you here in a minute. Got all of the boats all set up. The battery was low on Nacken. That's why it was doing weird things to us. So we're topping him up. He's nice and happy again. Moved all of the foam up above the surface water line. So now that should float nicely. Adjusted all of the linkages. That should be working well. 209 is done. We just need to prep that for the pond for Saturday. And I have yet to put the foam and weights in here. We will work on that in the morning. Toss it back in the pool. Jason's going to be swinging by tomorrow morning. He'll say hi to everybody, let you know how things are going over in his neck of the woods. Oh, and before I forget, we finally did nail down that 212, that pesky 212. Everything was sorted, worked perfectly, got shipped out today. So, end of the day, packing it in. See you guys in the morning. Thursday morning. Been a busy day already. The whole family went out working out this morning, and we got back, had breakfast, got showered, and into the shop Got lots done here. We got the skipjack, we got the foam installed, weights installed, more foam installed. Basically, this is kind of slipping here. Let's push that forward. There we go. We are waiting for this to cure, and then we can throw it back into the pool. And then this one will be ready for the pond coming up on Saturday. So we'll be prepping 3 boats, the 209, the Skipjack, and the Nacken. Nacken is ready for round 3 of trimming to make sure that that foam that we put in place yesterday, moved it up above the waterline, worked out really well. And more progress on the Seaview. Logan did a stupendous job painting up all of these details for the interior. He's assembling that bridge section, and then we are going to be installing it in the bow of the boat and doing some LED lights and buttoning that thing up. Hopefully we'll be in for primer coming up here right away. A little bit of a change of plans with Sharky 2.0. I tried my darndest to get ABS working on this machine. It ended up printing 2 or 3 inches of height. You can actually see it in the garbage over here. Right here. You can see how big this shark is going to be. You know, super strong and everything, but it failed. And this was after hours of trying to get it to adhere to the build plate. It turns out my build plate is all warped, and so I had to shim it with paper. But this is a new print, and it's adhered really well. This is a different body section being printed in PETG, about 5 mils thick. That thing is going to be super thick and strong. So got high hopes that that ends up printing without a problem, and yeah, we'll be on to 2.0. That order needs to be done by Christmas. It's for a friend, and that's why he got shunted in above some other people in the queue. But work continues. All right, day 3 of the Odyssey, trimming out the Nacken, and it's not because it's terribly involved. We just wait for everything to dry before we bring it out, because we have so much other stuff to do in our lives. So let's put it in and see where it floats. It might be just a tiny bit up in the nose, but that actually doesn't bother me because it'll drop the prop a little lower in the water, so when you're surfaced, we won't be so susceptible to pulling air. Let's see what she does. I am happy with that. It's got full static diving set up right now. I could bring it all the way down, as you saw a little bit earlier on. There's probably just a little bit more air left in there to evacuate if we needed to, but this would be perfect. I would run this at this trim level right now. And you can see now I've got the stern planes on the stick here, and then the fairwater planes are on the side, so you can see them tilting as I move those controls. I have a hunch this is going to be incredibly stable in the water. I'm excited to bring it out on Saturday. So let's bring it back up again. Well, actually, you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to back it up and just give it a little juice. I just want to see how much oomph that prop's got. And with RC submarines, always, when you go in reverse, the stern will drop. Always going to happen. All right, here we go. It's a big boat. It takes a little while to get up to speed. This thing is ready to go. Batteries are charged up. This 1 minute of running isn't going to do anything to that. I'll switch up the stern planes, and we're going to be off to the races. Last but not least, time to dunk Skipjack again. Let's see what she's doing today. Man, that is like right perfectly at the water line right now. Sitting just a little tiny bit cupped over to port. I need to shift the weight around or something, but let's see. We'll move her away from here. Perfection. Or certainly good enough for lake trials. It's just a tiny bit canted forwards. Obviously, with even just a modicum of forward movement, your planes, your control surfaces, and even just the hydrodynamic shape of the hull is going to keep this thing nice and level in the water. So, yeah, there we go. Actually, that's even better. I dumped a little bit more water out. Oh yeah. Ta-da! I am happy with this boat. We're going to go back through. I noticed that the stern plane linkage was a little loose. I'm going to tighten that up. But other than that, good to go for Saturday. Back in the shop doing real work, and the Seaview is mostly assembled. Just letting the glue dry off to the side where nobody's going to hit it. I was hoping to get into primer today, but that's not going to end up happening. There's our little forward control room. Logan did such an awesome job putting all those together. There we go. So we got our little floodlight in the front there, and then we got our bottom floodlights under there, and then some really cool inside LEDs. Should look really cool. And then what do you got going on over on the other side?
I'm making progress on Kilo. Just finished getting all of my parts requisitions. So I've got my forward servos, actually my rear servos back. I've got my 82, I've got my 2IS, I've got my ballast servo, I've got my BBC because I've got a
BL Heli
right here, which I'm in the middle of soldering into place. I need to finish scrapping the old snorkel because I'm not using it.
Yeah, this is like a first generation MSD subdriver, which is really cool and did awesome. And it used this old, there's this micro switch to control the air pump, but we're gonna swap that out for a solid state 2IS. That's a snorkel. We'll still use the snorkel. We still need the snorkel. I don't know. I wonder if that's the right snorkel for this.
This thing feels huge.
It's like a vertical snorkel. It should be. Oh yeah. See, look. Grab the sail. So, like, that's not going to work. I've got other snorkels. If we need to, we'll build a new snorkel. But anyhow, all good. So yeah, what's the plan for the boat?
Use this to learn and pick up some new skills.
Should be cool. The 96th Kilo. It's a beautiful little boat and a really good performer. So we'll get this thing all rigged up, ready to go. Well, that is a wrap for today. We are going to shut down the shop and do some emails and all of that kind of stuff. Before Ed gets here tomorrow, we're going to do a couple things, get the boats all set to go, hopefully clear them off the bench so we can have room to work on our radios. There was a little tiny leak in this thing, just like a quarter of a teaspoon of water in the bottom there. Irks me. So tomorrow morning I'm just going to pressure test this. I got to put a test nipple in there. The R&R cylinders don't come with that. And we'll find out where that water's coming in from, get it all tuned up so we don't have any problems at the lake. But other than that, we're done, and see you guys in the morning. All right, everyone, it is Friday, and you're going to have to imagine a lot of amazing things getting done today because we didn't film. We had a special guest here at the new Drydocks facility, Mr. Ed Tortle, came all the way down from up north.
Dallas.
Over 3 hours, very early in the morning to come hang with us. But in terms of things we got done today, we got the boats all prepped for the lake tomorrow, and we got pictures from Fitz. The water looks absolutely beautiful, so hopefully that's going to be a great outing tomorrow. Logan started prepping all of the parts for the new 48 Nautilus kit.
So it was, I didn't actually count how many parts there were, but it was a solid about 6 hours worth of using a little pair of nippers and a Dremel and just slowly grinding away all of the flak in the hull. To say the least, by the end of it, I looked a little bit like a powdered donut with just an absolute ton of white powder all over the place. I burned my thumbs a few times from the Dremel slipping, but got most of it cleared out. Maybe like another 10 minutes of cleaning work, and then we can get to putting the hull together.
But the really exciting thing is Ed and I worked today on the new 900 megahertz radios, which we already know control the boats really, really well, but we're taking it to the next level with the implementation of a series of peripheral sensors that we can attach to it. I'm going to try and remember them all. Do you remember them? You start and I'll fill it in.
Well, for one thing, you'll have heading, pitch, and roll of the boat. And all of this is in real time. Mm-hmm. There is a pressure sensor, absolute pressure sensor, which we're investigating, and we're told can be set up for you to read depth off your transmitter log, correct?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, this thing was cool. We hooked up, we had all of these operating simultaneously, and it wasn't that difficult to set up.
Voltage and current drop?
Voltage, current drop, so you can read what you're drawing from the battery.
So all of, like you said, all the GPS data when you're surfaced, probably, right?
You'll get lat and long, and you can record that and play it later on software that'll show you on your lake what you're doing.
So we had the pressure sensor for depth, and then the last one I think that we implemented was a pressure sensor pitot to relay to you actual speed through the water, which is super cool.
What's up?
We were on the phone for over an hour with the rep
Yes.
from FreeSky today, and it sounds like we'll be able to build in functionality like automatic blowing of ballast when you exceed depth, automatic blowing of ballast when your voltage level gets to a certain amount. So there's a huge amount of flexibility to this, and it's a learning curve for both of us and for FreeSky, because they're basically airplane guys, right? Airplanes and drones.
But when we're talking to the rep, they're interested in what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're going back to the developers with any suggestions that we have.
So this is super exciting. It's a game changer for the hobby. We were at it basically all day. I started working on it about the same time Logan started grinding on those parts, and we just finished up maybe half an hour ago. So that was like 7 hours of playing around with radios.
Yeah.
It's an investment, but boy, like I said, total game changer for the hobby. And that receiver's 12 channels too. Like compared to our 6 and 8 channel receivers that we've been playing with, and no crystals, no PPM, no PWMs, and 1024s.
Everybody got channel 81! Channel 81, please!
So we're happy to have evolved into the 21st century, and hopefully the next few weeks are going to see some pretty awesome advancements. We're going to throw this radio in a boat and do a proof of concept and figure all this stuff out. So that was our Friday. Tomorrow is going to be a day at the Sylvan Rodriguez Park with Fitz's Flotilla of Fun. Again, the water looks absolutely amazing. Fitz sent an email out. We're going to get all that footage in the video. Probably drop the update video that you're watching right now later this weekend, maybe Monday morning. I don't know. We'll see how the timing works out. But I think with that,
It was awesome. Awesome day.
we'll let everybody go. Have a great week, and we will catch you next time. Tell us about the U-boat, Ed.
Oh, okay. It's a fun boat to drive. Very little thought to it. It's responsive. It's a good beginner boat. You can handle the transmitter to anybody, and because it's positively buoyant, you don't really.
It's got a lot of positive buoyancy.
Yeah. So, so you need a little bit of speed to dive. Now, come around. Okay. And we'll do a speed run and a dive right in front of us. So here we go. And I'm drawing 2.7 amps, 3.8 amps. We dive. She goes under. And then you just let go. She pops up by herself. But yeah, she's got history to it. I love it. She's been upgraded. She has 1300 kV twin independent throttle 2 ESC motors. I'm still working with that. And Lexan covers so you can see inside. And it has a 3S 8000 amp hour lifetime.
Holy hell. So, because of the fun with low frequency radios, the glitching, the nastiness that we had going on, this is what I think of low frequency radios. Done. Well, it is all said and done. We finished up at the pond there. We got 3 boats tested. Ed gave us a good tour of his little Crick U-boat, which was a blast to drive. I got to meet or meet back up with a lot of the cool people that attend Fitz's Flotilla of Fun at the Sylvan Rodriguez Park down here in Houston. Feedback on the boats. So Skipjack drove me nuts. We were gonna do that first. It turns out that the radio fell over in the car, turned the switch on, the battery was dead when I got there. Someone actually ran out and got me more AA batteries from the gas station, and we got to go out there. But that boat was plagued with glitching and loss of signal. It was running an old Vex 6-channel radio, which typically is not a big problem, but you guys all know I am a big proponent of the new 900 megahertz systems. Going back to that 75 megahertz low frequency radio, I am done with it. As you saw before, radio's in the garbage. Didn't even leave the park. I'm just gonna throw a 900 megahertz Horus in there, be done with it, because I know it's gonna be rock solid. So final testing's gonna need to wait on that boat until probably tomorrow. No, probably Tuesday. Tomorrow I'm cleaning out the last of my shop and hauling garbage away. 209 was perfect. What a fun boat that was. It's fast, maneuverable, held periscope depth absolutely flawlessly. Did not need to use those forward planes even once, even though they're functional and they work. Didn't need them. Boat just stayed rock steady and level the whole time. Just a little bit of input on the stern planes, and away we went. So that one's going to get wrapped up, boxed up, and shipped out to the new owner this week. Nacken similarly performed really well. Not a speed demon by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not sure if that's the stock motor in that OTW die module or not, but it's not spinning that big prop very fast. Regardless, it's probably scale speed. Just compared to the, to the 209, it just felt a little slow, that's all. But it had tremendous presence on and under the water. People loved it at the pond, obviously. Big boat, big presence on and under the water. So very happy. Went with 3 boats, came home with 3 boats. 2 of the boats that we tested were flawless, and the other one got just a false start right off the finish line, so we'll knock that one out. All in all, a busy week. It was awesome. We're looking forward to another great week this week, so stay tuned for that. And as per usual, you guys have a great day, and catch you next time.